In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Listen, folks, I'm here to tell you our political system is broken. The two-party system is dead. They have become one and the same.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite host.
This is always the killer, the one that just destroys that never Trump argument. Hillary Clinton will fill the Supreme Court with liberals. She'll also appoint federal judges with a liberal bent to them.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Don't let anybody tell you that it's corporations and businesses that create jobs.
Arrogant, sanctimonious, self-righteous, sabotaging Trump.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say, because a lot of times they say, no, the lower 25%, they can't afford. I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of, much better than they're taken care of now. The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side. ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Maybe that's what I said.
What realized is that the Bill Kristols of the world, the never Trump people, they were just never serious. They never had any kind of ground game. They never had an actual candidate they could pick.
And in a surprising and disturbing move today, the Libertarian vice presidential candidate just agreed that rifles are weapons of mass destruction and people on the terror watch list should not be allowed to purchase guns. So in other words, the party of freedom is liberty for me but not for thee. Go figure.
Compromise where you can. Where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right. Even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree.
All right, folks, this is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. It is Tuesday, August 30th, 2016, just a few minutes past the hour of 10 right here in Oklahoma City. And I am joined via Skype today by someone you may recognize, Defend Wall Street on Twitter, who did a show with us on my former station, K98Talk.com, for a while, has come on to talk with us this evening about his favorite person on the planet, Mr. Donald J. Trump, or as he likes to call him, Donald J. Cuck. Good evening, Bill. How are you?
I'm good. I'm taking bets to see how long Donald J. Trump will last in Mexico tomorrow.
Yeah, so for those of you not paying attention, apparently Donald is going to Mexico. I'm not sure that is a smart idea with some of the things that he said.
It wouldn't be high on my list of priorities.
I mean, dude, it just... Has anybody talked about why he's actually going there? Because I've only seen bits and pieces because I've been dealing with a funeral and a bunch of other things. So it's not really been something that I've been able to pay that much attention to.
I actually have no idea why he's going.
He probably doesn't either.
I could make some guesses.
Tijuana Blow?
That would... my guess would be that Obergruppenführer Bannon has told him that if he goes to Mexico, it will be only Trump can go to Mexico, like only Nixon can go to China.
Good plan. You know, that
No, I'm just kidding. It's probably because he wants the brown people vote, and he thinks that if he goes to Mexico, where all brown people are from,
yeah,
like they like the Pope or something.
I don't know. I mean, it's another long list of things that he's done that have made absolutely no sense to me. Like, if you've looked at his website lately, his schedule is pretty much completely clear as far as any more speaking engagements, other than the one that he did in Washington today, which made no sense because that's like the blue that makes New Jersey almost seem like a red state. I'm just saying.
I could come up with a reason for him going to Washington.
I could too, but you know, it's not
money,
like
money. I think it was a fundraiser. I think he's looking for some cash, and I think, you know, there's a lot of tech industry guys that live in Seattle, you know, Bellevue, those areas of Washington State. I think maybe he was looking for some money. You know, Jeff Bezos lives out there, Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, the guy from Starbucks, whatever his name is. You know, so that's the only reason I could come up with. Other than that, I would say he's just completely out of his mind.
Well, you know, I mean, there's a handful of reasons.
Could be both.
Well, let's face it, he's nuts. I mean, look.
Yeah, he's not a smart man. For a guy with an Ivy League business degree, he's not a very smart man.
Which kind of makes you think, because if you noticed all the guys lately with so-called Ivy League business degrees that don't seem like they have two brain cells to rub together, I'm starting to wonder if these schools just hand them out because they just hand out the degrees because they can pay for them.
Well, to be really honest, George Bush wasn't a Rhodes Scholar yet. He got an Ivy League education.
Yeah,
Bill Clinton wasn't exactly intelligent, and he was a Rhodes Scholar. So,
yeah, well, you're kind of just reinforcing my point a little bit more, though, because it seems, I mean, these are the schools that are supposed to turn out the best and the brightest, and you just name some people that are not necessarily that. I mean, as far as, are you talking about Bush 41 or Bush 43? Because I honestly don't remember where either one of them went to school.
41 was an intelligent man, no doubt.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think 43 kind of gets a bad rap as far as being unintelligent. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that for some reason, out of all the Bushes, he has like the most thick Texas accent, which makes him sound like he's some backwater hick. But honestly,
except he's from Connecticut.
Well, okay, I understand that, which is another reason why I don't understand the accent. But at the same time, he can fly a jet. I mean, you have to at least be somewhat intelligent to be able to do that. So, I mean,
I don't think he's ever actually done that. I think he learned how to do that in the Air National Guard. I don't know that he ever actually did that, though.
Yeah, for
the sake of argument, let's say he did.
I know for a fact that he did, but I mean, and again, I'm not really a fan of Bush 43 at this point either, other than the fact that I know that ever since I did the interview with his dad's chief of staff, he actually occasionally listens to the show. So if you're listening tonight, George, I'm glad you listened, but you even admitted to other people that you like the fact that I don't pull any punches even when it comes to you. So I hope you don't mind if the show takes any weird directions with that.
Now that I know that a former president is listening, I don't think that W was a bad president. I just don't think he was necessarily one of our more intellectual presidents. I mean, I never liked George W. Bush when I was a Democrat, but I never thought he was going to take me to a secret prison and murder me or drop a drone on me, drone me at a wedding in Pakistan.
Oh, that's right. I
was never afraid that W was going to kill me.
I keep forgetting you are a reformed Democrat. I keep forgetting about that. But yeah, so I mean, and I guess going back to this again, then we'll move back to Trump. I don't think George Bush is actually one of our more intellectual presidents. I don't think he tried to sell himself as that either. And again, I was not really a Bush fan as soon as things like the Patriot Act started coming out and a lot of the other things that he really started trying to do in his second term. But I also know that having spoken to people that were close to him at the time and some other things that I found out along the way, everybody does things that they think are for the right reasons at the time they're doing them, and then they look back at it later going, man, I probably really should have done that a lot differently. Well,
hindsight is 2020.
So, well, I mean, and that's true too. But I mean, as far as Donald Trump goes, though,
I'm a Latter-day Saint, by the way.
You're a who?
I didn't like him when he was president. Now I do. Wish we had him now.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, looking at what we've been through for the last nearly 8 years, I mean, who wouldn't want somebody back that at least tried to do what they thought was the right thing, not just to make people happy? I mean, and that's kind of where we've gotten with everybody lately. I mean, because that's what Obama's done for the last several years, has done nothing but pander to different extreme groups in his base. Now we have Hillary Clinton trying to do the exact same thing. She's gotten herself mixed up into the alt-right movement. And then we have Donald Trump, or not alt-right, but BLM. And then we have Donald Trump, who, whether he wants to admit it or not, has gotten himself intertwined with the alt-right movement and doesn't seem to ever want to do anything to distance himself from that. So, I mean, when you have people that are doing nothing but pandering 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's, as far as they're concerned, working for both of them, those of us with a modicum of intelligence are looking at this going, how did either one of these people get here? What are we going to do to fix it? And how are we going to survive if either one of them becomes president? Because it's going to be insane no matter which one gets there. And that's the choice that we're pretty much stuck with as of today.
So to connect George Bush and Donald Trump, sorry, W. I can do this. One of the things that I talk about a lot on Twitter, and I see not very many people talking about that I'd like people to know about, is that, George Bush, 43, not 41, won partially because he had a large amount of the Hispanic vote. In fact, he had one of the largest percentages of the Hispanic vote of a Republican president in 50 years. He had 46% of the Latino vote. Mitt Romney lost with, I think, 34%. Ronald Reagan won with 38%. And Bush 41 won, I think, with 40%. So the conclusion that you can basically draw is that if a Republican can attract at least 38% of the Latino vote, that coupled with the already quite white base of the GOP as it is, you can pretty much guarantee yourself a Republican victory in November. Now, with that being said, Donald Trump polls worse with Latinos than junk mail, Al-Qaeda, and bedbugs. Latino voters would rather have junk mail and bedbugs than Donald Trump. That's a legit poll from Quinnipiac.
Wait, so the poll actually said that they would rather have bedbugs than vote for Donald Trump?
Well, it was 11 things. How do you rate them in terms of favorability on a scale of 1 to 10? Trump was somewhere around 3. Bedbugs was 6.
Wow.
Al-Qaeda was 4. Now, they only beat Trump by 1 point, but Hispanics would rather have bedbugs than Donald Trump.
Oh, wow.
Really think about that for a minute. Really think about that. This is a man who, just in spite of reality itself, runs headlong into reality and crashes up against it like the wall that he wants to build. I mean, he's talking about, I'm going to get huge black support. He's polling at 1% with blacks. Black people would rather have herpes than Donald Trump. I mean, he's polling at 1% in every single national poll among registered black voters. And that's what a 1.5% margin of error.
So he's at
2%.
So he's at 1% with a 1.5 margin of error. So if the margin's too far in the wrong direction, he could actually be polling at negative 0.5%. Just saying.
Yes. And that brings me back to GW and to Romney. Now, a lot of people make a big deal out of Romney. They go, well, Romney lost. But then the same people the same people who say that Romney was a loser will then tell you in the same breath that Donald Trump won the primary, and so he beat out all the best candidates, and so he's just destined to win. Primaries don't pick winners. Primaries are a process. They pick the best person according to the process, not the best person for the job necessarily. Primaries have picked a lot of losers. Walter Mondale, Ross Perot, Bill Stein, Hillary Clinton, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, and now Donald Trump. Primaries don't pick winners. And Romney, who lost in 2012, got 10% of the black vote and 34% of the Hispanic vote.
And yet we all have all of these Trump supporters that are convinced that he's going to win because he's bringing out voters that have never voted before, and yet
That's not true.
Well, it is to them, and you can't convince them otherwise. That's the scary thing. These people have so bought into this brainwashing, or whatever you want to call it, that they are convinced that he's the next president and nobody's going to be able to stop it. And no matter how many times you try to show them the places where you can prove that the polls are showing that he's going to lose, you can point them to places like, I believe it's 538.com, but I don't have it pulled up right now, that actually takes an aggregate of all the polls and uses a pretty fairly accurate prediction model to show who's going to win and by what numbers, and they're showing Hillary in a landslide, and everybody that's supporting Donald Trump is like, oh, you're just part of the mainstream media, you're trying to help Hillary. Look, I want to get one thing straight for what I hope to be the last time. I have been opposed to Hillary Clinton since 1992, when I first realized that at some point she was probably going to try to ride on her husband's coattails to find a way back to the White House, and this was before he ever left, and I have been opposed to Hillary Clinton. I was opposed to Hillary Clinton before Donald Trump ever decided to run. I was opposed to Hillary Clinton even after Donald Trump decided to run. But what I'm not willing to do is sell my principles down the river just to try to keep Hillary Clinton from getting into the White House, to have one of her donors, surrogates, and probably someone who's even worse and more dangerous than she is get in there, because the thing that nobody wants to think about is for the last 8 years we have watched a very narcissistic, egocentric person sit at the seat of power in the White House, but he didn't really grasp the power that he had at his disposal. He started figuring it out about halfway through this term, which is when he started doing all these executive orders and all these crazy things that he knew Congress was never going to go for. Donald Trump has had access to power his entire life. If we give him the type of power that the White House will afford him, thanks to the things that Obama has managed to get away with in this presidency, whether it's him or Clinton, we're screwed, because they both understand the power that he didn't, and they're going to be using their pen and their phone to do all kinds of of scary things that we may or may not ever be able to undo. And this is the mess that we have gotten ourselves in, all because the American people, as of today, seem to have the attention span of a goldfish. Sorry, ranty.
You sort of, you said a lot there. One of the things that people never talk about with Donald Trump is they'll say, well, he got more Republican primary votes than any other person running for a Republican primary. That's true until 2012. Mitt Romney, when he won through the primary process, accumulated about 13.5 million votes, roughly. I believe that when he had clinched it, he was at about 12 million. So let's call it 12 million. Right? So now Romney's sitting at 12 million. Trump is sitting at something like, 14, maybe? So it's 2 million votes more. It's really not that big of a deal. One of the things that they, like you said, they're so fond of saying is that, well, he has this huge mandate and blah, 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 and he's bringing all these new people in. Well, that's just completely nonsensical. The new people that he's bringing in are not new people. They're not new voters. They're not fresh blood. The people that he's bringing in to this process, to the primary process, are people who just generally don't participate in it to begin with. And we know this because of polling, whether it's exit or otherwise, we know that roughly 75% of these new people, 80% of these new people that he's bringing in, are people who have just abandoned voting in the primary process because either time, or they lost interest, or they don't care. People who vote in the primaries are people who are interested in voting. Most people don't even vote in the general election, but most of the people that vote are interested in the process and they get involved in it. About 143 million people in America vote every year. Every election, sorry. There's 327 million people live in the country. So that means that roughly a third of the people in the country who can vote do so. Trump isn't bringing anybody new in. He's just bringing people who've given up on voting in two elections, the primary and the general. Most people just sit it out and they wait for the general. The primary process is a third of the third that you get in the election anyway. So there's like almost nobody votes in the primary to begin with. So he's brought in a couple million new people who were kind of jazzed up about his idiot ideas. But if you look at it, the people that voted against him, people that didn't want him, it's almost 22 million votes. He's got more votes against him than any other GOP candidate in history.
Yeah, but nobody wants to talk about that because who cares about all these people that don't want to support him? I mean, I even heard Sean Hannity again today going on a rant about how he was going to hold everyone accountable if Hillary got the White House. The only people that need to be held accountable if Hillary gets the White House are all these people that didn't listen the millions of times that Trump changed his positions and kept pushing a candidate who we knew we couldn't trust from the beginning. And now we're stuck with choosing between someone who should be a criminal and someone who is legally, probably criminally insane. And that's where we are today.
One of the things that I think people should do is I think we should hold people. Sean Hannity's absolutely right. We should hold people to task. We should take people to task for the outcome of this election. But we should take him to task. Him and Rush Limbaugh. If you listen to Rush Limbaugh yesterday, I don't know, are you a frequent listener of Rush? I listen to it periodically because I'm sometimes curious what a fat drug addict likes to talk about on the radio. So
I used to listen. I really don't much anymore.
Okay. I don't listen anymore either because, like I said, he's a fat, ridiculous drug addict, and he just can't keep his ideas straight anymore. I listened to Rush, I guess it was yesterday or the day before, and he was talking about Trump's immigration plan and how this isn't really what he said on the radio, and I mean I'm paraphrasing. It's something like he said something to the effect of, "This is not a flip-flop. It is a policy." What's the word that he used? It is a policy redefining. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this and I'm like, are you friggin' kidding me? It's a policy redesign? I mean, it was something to that effect. It was like, it wasn't, effectively he went into a thesaurus and looked up a different word for flip-flop. And he's just using a different word, hoping that the retards that listen to him will, be like, "Ooh, okay, it's not a flip-flop, it's that." But I mean, and he had this guy that called into the show, and he was like, "You got to be kidding me, right? Like, these people have all done a tremendous disservice to this country, and excuse me, and to the Republican Party. Limbaugh, Hannity, even Mark Levin. I don't care what people say. Levin said that Trump's tax plan was the most Reagan-esque policy for taxes he'd ever seen, without even ever actually seeing it. Kind of given the gist of it, and he went on the air and he praised it. It wasn't until he started to come after his favorite quarterback, Ted Cruz, that was when Trump had to go. So these people, Coulter and Ingram, and Coulter, by the way, her book is on sale. Her book is 40% off on Amazon already. It's not even a week old. Ingram and Coulter and Hannity and Limbaugh and Levin and and you know who else you can add to the dirtbag list? That guy from American Spectator, the guy who kind of looks like Christopher Lee in one of those vampire movies. You know what I'm talking about? Jeffrey Lord.
Jeffrey. Yeah, I was about.
Oh my God, he's a creature feature looking kind of guy, isn't he? Looks like he has a van that says "free candy" on the side of it. And Candy's not the name of a girl either.
Actually, at this point, he could probably just put on there free Pokemon rides, and there'd be more people that would get in. All right. But anyway, at this point, folks, we have already hit the bottom of the hour. We've got to take a really quick break. When we come back, more of the show, and you are listening to America Off the Rails. We'll be right back here in just a couple minutes.
Stay tuned. Things are going to get real interesting. You're listening to the Spark Radio Network.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live, already into the second half of the show. My, oh my, where does the time go? Again, I am on with my guest, Defend Wall Street, on Twitter. You may know him as Bill. We've been kind of rehashing a lot of the basics with Trump to give folks a little bit of background, give them an idea of where Bill's coming from. We've talked about the fact that he's a reformed Democrat. No, I'm just playing. But at this point, I'm going to turn the show back over to him like I typically do when I have a guest who's been gracious enough to come on with me, because I don't have them that often. And we're going to let him take the show in whatever direction he wishes. So the microphone is again yours, sir.
So something that Rick and I were talking about during the break, and I want to kind of bring this conversation on air, is, we're kind of tossing the idea back and forth. Is Donald Trump, is this really a snow job? Are we being screwed here? Like, is Hillary the person destined to be president, and is Trump just the fool who got paid off to take a dive? Now, I will admit that there is some tangible evidence there. If you look for it, it kind of looks plausible. But in order for that to be true, though, right, they would have to have known that he was going to win the primary process to begin with.
Not necessarily. Just to kind of give you where my thought process is on this and why it is that I've come to the conclusion that I have. There's all kinds of little things that started happening in the beginning that didn't make any sense to me, like the call to Bill Clinton. before he decided to run. The fact that their daughters are friends, the fact that they've been in the same social circles. I ultimately think they thought that Donald Trump was basically going to play the role that Kasich wound up playing, which was the blocker, the guy that made sure that no other legitimate candidate would manage to hang on long enough for whoever had the lead, because by then they would have the opposition research ready for whoever they'd held off and be able to take them apart. But what they found was a disturbing discovery, because if you notice, about halfway through this, he legitimately started trying to shoot his own campaign in the foot. Over and over and over again, he would say more and more outlandish things. He even joked about being able to shoot somebody in the middle of New York City and he still wouldn't lose a single vote. He said things that were completely outrageous, things that were completely atrocious, things that would have sidelined any other candidate without his star profile, and yet he just kept having it bounce off of him. I don't think they intended on him making it this far. I think he was supposed to be Kasich. But I think now that he is here, they figured out that at this point, who better to do it? Because now anytime the media even starts looking at Hillary Clinton, he says something completely outlandish and completely stupid, and all of a sudden the media is talking about him again, and Hillary's back out of the news cycle. The thing that disturbs me about Trump is he definitely comes from the point of view that no press is bad press. There's no such thing as bad press where he's concerned. And I think that it's not necessarily that we've been played only to make sure that Hillary Clinton becomes president, but look at all the publicity that he's getting from this. Free publicity, he's gotten hundreds and thousands of hours of press coverage, and there's all these little stories that are leaking out about all the things that he plans on doing after the run for the presidency, which he wouldn't be able to do if he was actually elected president. So it's kind of curious to me that those things are starting to leak out. But again, it's tinfoil hat. It's a little crazy, but it's there if you know where to look, and I'm still thoroughly convinced that I think at this point the two parties are starting to work together to do nothing but hold on to their power. It's why the new intro even says at this point the two-party system, as far as I'm concerned, is done, and they all work together to make sure that we stay in the dark and we pull whichever lever we most agree with, and our election responses have become completely Pavlovian. Whatever party line you agree with, that's the one you vote for, and we're seeing it played out over and over again with all these Trump supporters that are still like, well, he's the only Republican left, we have to vote for him. No, you don't. There's like 1,600 other people that were running for president. With as many people as hated both of them, this would have been the one shot we had at putting somebody else in there. But because nobody can ever even fathom doing that, it's never going to happen.
Here's what I think. I think he is intentionally shooting himself in the foot. I don't think that he's a plant by Hillary. I don't think he's being run by anybody. I think he's his own man. I think when he got into this process, I think that he was looking to finish as a strong second or strong third place candidate in the primaries. I think he was going to use that to boost his image, to elevate himself onto the national stage once again. And I think he was going to start a TV news network. And I'll tell you why I think that is still the case. If you look at who he surrounds himself with, his campaign advisor is Roger Ailes. CEO of his campaign is Steve Bannon from Breitbart. Laura Ingraham is doing his debate prep for him. Ann Coulter is his biggest fan. Sean Hannity is running out of time on his contract with Fox. Do the math. This was all a plan for a TV station. And I promise you, when he closes his campaign down, he's going to start a TV station. It's going to be a 24/7 cable news network, similar to Fox News, but probably more like One America Network. By the way, I want to talk about One America Network, OAN. Do you get that channel where you live?
No, I used to when we lived in the city. Now that I bought a house out in the country, I don't get them anymore.
So you know what OAN is?
Yes.
So for people who don't know, One America News or One America Network, I don't know what the hell it's called, OAN. It's a 24/7, often 12/7 cable news network, which is basically around the clock commercial for Donald Trump, and it has been since the very moment that he launched his campaign. I think that Trump is going to buy OAN. That's my thought, is that he's going to buy One America News, and he's going to turn it into something else, and he's going to put Ailes and Bannon and Hannity in charge of it. OAN chronically unable to examine Donald Trump, just period. The network is terrible. If you have the station OAN, I don't know what channel it is for anybody. I think on DirecTV it's 361. Watch the station, seriously. Just watch the station for 10 minutes. Watch it about 10 minutes at about 6 o'clock or on the 5 o'clock hour. That's when they have this lady named Emily Miller come on. Now, she's a big thing on Twitter. She's a huge Trumpkin. This lady cannot report on news to save her life. She reads from a teleprompter like I don't even know. Reads the news like this. It's just so monotone and terrible. It's a terrible TV station. It's doing very badly. I hate to sound like Donald Trump. It's a terrible TV station. It's doing very badly. Very sad. And I think that he's going to buy that. And I think he's going to put Ailes and Bannon in charge of it. And Hannity's going to be his star TV guy. That's what I think.
And just as plausible, it doesn't necessarily, I guess actually that would make sense, and it would kind of remove the collusion aspect of it, but it still doesn't change the fact that he's basically been doing nothing but using this as a publicity stunt, which is what we're going to find out eventually anyway. That's the interesting thing about history. They can try to hide it for a while, but eventually we're going to know exactly what his motivations were, and I guarantee you that they're going to be all about him, just like everything else. And it just scares me that we have gotten to the point now where we have absolutely no critical thinking skills in this country, because I have listened to people over and over again tell me, and read on Twitter, have them tell me that they're not supporting Trump just because of one thing that he says or the other. And then they start talking about how angry they are at the Republicans for not doing anything when they had control of Congress, and how angry they were before that. And it all goes back to all of this deep-seated anger for one reason or another. When is the last time anybody made a good decision when they were angry?
Never.
I can't think of any one time in my life that I've ever been that mad to where I've been legitimately seeing red, and the decision that I made was a good one. So all of these people that are like, well, we're only voting for Trump because we're mad, and by God, it's time to change something. Well, when is the last time, again, that you made a decision that was worth a damn when you were angry? And why is this one a good one now? And why is it when I ask you questions about why you're supporting Trump, all I get is, it's because he's not Hillary, and it's because Cruz lost? I mean, dude,
voting for Donald Trump because not Hillary Clinton is like boarding the Lusitania because it's not the Titanic. That's just, this is the stuff of immature minds, that because it's a two-party system, I have to participate in the election, and not only do I have to participate, but I have to vote for whom I'm told to vote for. That's, if you really think about that, it's kind of weird. And there's a lot of very cult practices related to Trumperism. Now, one of the things that I will admit that I am extremely concerned about is I would like to know where Trumperism goes. Where does Trumpism go after there is no Trump? When he's decided to screw off and run a TV station and, marry some other communist, atheist, European hooker. Like, where do these people go? Because I have to be really honest with you. I don't want them in the Republican Party. I don't want these people. Even the people who go along to get along. I don't want these people. I don't care. And there are a lot of people that listen to the show, and there are a lot of people. I have 10,000 followers on Twitter. There are people that'll tell me that tell me this all the time, being too harsh. I'm not. I don't want these people. They're morally bankrupt. If you can look at Donald Trump and say, yes, I will vote for Hitler to save our country from Stalin, that's insane. I mean, that's just an insane admission. And, you know, some of the more diehard people who have been really invested in this Trump nonsense from the very beginning, these people will contort their opinion. They will contort their thought processes to match whatever the hell it is that he says tomorrow at this immigration speech. Look, he said, he ridiculed, there are 17 people on that stage, and even John Kasich, and I know you're not a fan of John Kasich, but even John Kasich said, look, you are not going to deport 12 or 14 million people. You're just not going to do it. You can't do it. Even if you wanted to do it, it's not feasible. It's something that cannot be done. Whether financially or strategically, however you want to look at it, there are several reasons why it's just not going to happen. And he sat up there and he ridiculed 16 other people on the stage, telling them that they're all a bunch of squishes and cucks and morons because they don't believe in this ridiculous idea that he has that's just made up in a fantasy world. And now the fantasy world has been pulled away, and Trump is saying, well, you know, what we have to do is we have to get these people to pay back taxes and a fine, and then we have to get them legal. No amnesty. There's no discussion of a wall. There's no discussion of anything. This is Trumpnesty. And let me tell you, I'm not a huge fan of ridiculing the amnesty guys because it's the best it's one of the best solutions that I've heard of. Besides, let's deport them, they're Mexicans, you know. So I'm sitting there watching this on TV as he describes this to Sean Hannity, that basically he's going to do what everybody else on the damn stage wanted to do. And Jeb Bush is sitting in his, you know, in his sofa in Tampa going, hey, that's my plan. Hey, George, tell him that's my plan. You know, I mean, come on.
You know,
this is insane now. I mean, it's just, this has reached levels of cult-like stupidity where we're almost at L. Ron Hubbard levels of rewriting thought now.
The mental gymnastics at this point it requires to remain a staunch Trump supporter is crazy.
Mental gymnastics. This is the kind of stuff that Scientologists wish they could do. I mean, this is just insane. I mean, this man literally said he's going to give them amnesty, and they're like, no, he just changed the words that he used. Like, are you kidding me? Like, he didn't look up alternate words in a thesaurus, dude. Like, he's using literally different words, which mean different things.
But it is still basically the same exact plan that everybody else had that was on that stage with him, and he ridiculed each one of them, said that they wanted amnesty, and then started talking about a wall. When I really started noticing we were in trouble was when I read a little off the cuff interview that he had done where he had talked about any time that he felt like he was losing the crowd at a rally, all he had to do was mention the wall and they were ginned right back up again. That's when I really started paying attention to the things that he was saying, because it was the things that he was saying that were off the cuff and unplanned that were completely different than what he was telling everybody else. Like when he says he's going to surround himself with the best people, and he only hires the best people, but in a room full of probably 50 to 60 people.
The people from the Apprentice. He's got Jeffrey Lord, convicted criminal Katrina Pearson, Kellyanne Conway, who called him a charlatan and a fraud, Ben Carson, who he called a child molester. And, I mean, I don't even know where to start on Roger Ailes. How much time do you have for that one?
Actually, we're only down to about 4 minutes, so probably not enough time to talk about Ailes. I'm just saying.
But you know, like you said, this is just so insane at this point. I mean, what is he? Look, this immigration speech that he's going to give. What is it, tomorrow? Right?
Yeah.
This immigration speech that he's going to give tomorrow is make or break. He's going to live or die by this speech, because this is his official pen to paper. This is him saying, this is what I'm for on immigration, and this is what we're going to do. If he deviates even slightly from it, he's done. If he says something which contradicts what he said before, he's done. So, I don't know. Here's the thing. Bird in the hand, two in a bush. Does he want to get more Spanish voters, or does he want to try to hold on to all them alt-right white supremacists that he's got living in their mom's basement watching hentai? You know? Does he
trailers
want more
don't have
white
basements,
folks,
just
or does he want more Spanish folks?
Just to clarify, trailers don't have basements.
Don't they have like those? Where does
I mean, they may or may not have a storm shelter, but that's not quite the same thing as a basement. Sorry, just. All right. Well, believe it or not, we are pretty much out of time. If you want to, you can let folks know where they can interact with you should they choose to do so. But I know when you ended your show with us previously, you always told people not to find you. So I'm not sure if you want to do that or not.
You shouldn't find me, but if you want to find me, God forbid, it is at Defend Wall Street, WALLST.
And got anything else going on, or are you just mainly hanging out on Twitter now?
I'm moving to Texas, and I'm buying a Sig Sauer P229, and I'm getting me a concealed carry permit. Yeehaw.
Why is everybody moving to Texas? No, I'm just playing.
Because they told me they'd give me a free gun.
Wait, is that how they're doing it now? If you move to Texas from a blue state, you get a free gun?
Rick Perry said. Got to come to Texas and bring my guns, and he said, "Sure, if you ain't got no guns, we'll give you one." I said, "Okay, I don't have any guns. Give me one."
Pardon me. Nice, getting choked up on my own show. All right, so as we come to a close tonight, folks, just want to remind you that if you choose to interact with me, you are able to do so in a few different ways. You can do that on Twitter at AOTR_host. You can go find the show's Facebook page, which is America Off the Rails. You can also find my professional Facebook page. Just search Rowdy Ricky Robinson. Shoot me a friend's request. We'll talk, we'll chat, we'll hang out. If you're old school and you want to do email, you've got two choices, Ricky at thesparkradionetwork.com or Rick at klnrradio.com. And just want to give folks a little bit of a tease. We've got some changes coming up for the America Off the Rails show. Not going to give away too much tonight. Stay tuned to Twitter and a few other places. We're going to start letting little bits leak out here in the next few days as we start to make some changes around here. Want to thank Bill for hanging out with me for the entirety of the show. And do feel free to hang out with him on Twitter. He's a really great guy. I would encourage you to realize, though, that he's a lot like me. He doesn't have a filter, so occasionally he's going to say things that annoy you. Just remember, he's less angry about them than you are. So no point in getting completely worked up about it. But on this point, this point, folks, we have got to get out of here. Got to make way for the Rhino Report coming up next right here on klnrradio.com. And if you're listening to us on one of the affiliates, check your local listings for whoever's coming up next. Want to give a quick shout out to shrmedia.com, amfm247.com, Red Nation Rising Radio, the Liberty Channel, and all of the other places where the show can be heard on a regular basis. such as Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. And I'll be back with you guys live tomorrow night. Take care.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man.